peace with you, my friend, as we rise in our rebirth. I've caused you burn, and if I've caused you pain, ask that you forgive me, so we can start again. The world is just so fast, there's no time for our haste, and if we let time pass us by, we seal our own fate. If today the world is born, today we begin again. Today the door is open, it may never be again. We'll rise to the moment, I'll make peace with you, my friend, as we rise in our rebirth. As we rise in our rebirth.
Now is the time for turning. The leaves are beginning to turn from green to red and orange. The birds are beginning to turn and are heading once more toward the south. The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter. For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively. But for us, turning does not come so easily. It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong. And this is never easy. It means losing face. It means starting all over again. And this is always painful. It means saying, I am sorry.
It means recognizing that we have the ability to change. These things are terribly hard to do, but unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways. Adonai, help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Turn us around, O God, and bring us back towards you. Revive our lives at the beginning, and turn us toward each other. Adonai, for in isolation there is no life.
We trembled at what did we aim? How did we stumble? What did we take? What did we give? To what were we blind? Last year's confession came easily to the lips. Will this year's come from deeper than the skin?
Say then, why are our paths strewn with promises like fallen leaves? Say then, when shall our lust be for wisdom? Say now, love and truth shall meet, justice and peace shall embrace.
O hope of Israel, in our weakness give us strength. In our blindness be our guide. When we falter, hold our hand.
Make consistent our impulse for good. Let us know the joy of walking in your ways.
Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan l'sech v'vina l'hevchin ben yom uvein laila. Blessed is the eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who has implanted mind and instinct into every living being, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids, who makes firm each person's steps, who provides clothes for the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorin. Blessed is the eternal our God, who has made me free, who brings freedom to the captive, who has made me a Jew, who girds our people Israel with strength, who crowns Israel with glory.
God is pure. You have created it. You have formed it. You have breathed it into me, and within me you sustain it. So long as I have breath, therefore, I will give thanks to you, my God, and God of all ages, source of all creation, loving guide of every human spirit.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'osok b'divrei Torah. Blessed is the eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot and who commands us to engage in the study of Torah. Elu devarim she'ein lachem she'ur, she'adam ohel parit hem ba'olam hazeh v'karen kayamet la'olam haba. These are the obligations without measure. Their fruit we eat now, their essence remains for us in the life to come. Together, to honor our parents, to perform acts of loving kindness, to attend the house of study daily, to welcome the stranger, to visit the sick, to rejoice with the couple, to console the bereaved, to pray with sincerity, to make peace when there is strife, but the study of Torah equals them all.
respectively on page 4. We have come together to pray as a congregation, yet each of us is strangely solitary in your presence. Each of us has come before you with special hopes and dreams. Each of us has personal worries and concerns. Each of us has a prayer no one else can utter. Each of us brings praise no one else can offer. Each of us feels a joy no one else can share. Each of us has regrets which others cannot know. And so we pray. If we are too weary, give us strength. If we are discouraged, give us hope. If we have forgotten how to pray, remind us. If we have been careless of time, forgive us. If our hearts have been chilled by indifference, warm them with your memory and inspire us with the glowing spirit of your holiness.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. V'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon uv'hayeh dechol beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, v'imeru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivorach, le'olam l'mei almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitroman, v'yitnaseh, Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, shmei kudisha, brichu, leila mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nemata, damiran v'yalma, v'imeru, amen. Please rise for the Baruch.
Bye.
For the good within us, which calls us to lead a better life, we give thanks. Partners in creation, may we honor our planet as good and decent caretakers.
Let us rejoice in the great abundance that nature provides.
May we be ever conscious of the fragility and balance of the earth.
May we celebrate creation at every opportunity, never losing our sense of wonder.
Blessed is the created world and the constant flow of energy directed to us.
May we receive our blessings with gratitude, ever aware of the gifts that are uniquely ours.
We are loved by an unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us, even when we are hidden from ourselves.
We are touched by fingers that soothe us, even when we are too proud for something. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved by an unending love.
We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved by an unending love.
Embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love.
Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta v'shivteha b'veitzeha uvlefteha b'aderet u'shochbeha uv'humeha u'shartam leot al yadeha v'hayu letotafot beineneha uchtavtam al mezuzot beiteha uvishareha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתי אתכם לארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
God is one. God gives power to the sun and brings warmth to the human heart.
Whenever we fight for freedom, the Eternal is with us. As when our ancestors struggled to break the chains that bound our Egypt.
God, our Creator, teach us to love freedom as we love life.
Help us to understand that only when we are free can any of us truly be free.
Let none be masters and none be slaves.
That we shall sing as our people did when they were freed from Pharaoh's grip.
Please rise.
La Or v'hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol V'zocher Hasei Avot V'imahot U'mevi Gula Livnei Bneihem L'man Shemo Be'ahava Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'hoshia. Mechayeh chaim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayen emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua. Michamocha harachamim, Socher Yitzirah v'chaim rachamim, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
On the day of renewal, we can decide, and on the day of repentance, we can determine. Who shall truly live and who shall cease to live, although in the midst of life? Who shall attain fullness of life through sharing, and who shall cut herself off from living by selfishness? Who shall be consumed by the fires of arrogance, and who shall be quenched by the waters of despair?
Who shall be cut down by the sword of envy, and who shall be devoured by beastly hatred?
Who shall hunger for love, and who shall thirst for friendship?
Who shall be shaken by the rejection of sacred values, and who shall be plagued by the scorning of cherished virtues?
Who shall be strangled to silence, and who shall be stoned into submission?
Who shall find rest and home and hearth, and who shall be beset with anxiety and doubt?
Who shall have a life poor in accomplishment, and who shall have a life rich in satisfactions?
Who shall bring himself low in dejection? Who shall raise herself high in hope?
Utshuva utfila utsidaka ma'avrim etra hagazra. But all have been gifted with the power of teshuvah, tefillah, tzedakah, changing, resolving, doing. May we use wisely the gifts which these days of renewal and repentance bring.
Please be seated.
I had a paint box, each color glowing with delight. I had a paint box with colors warm and cool and bright. I had no red for wounds and blood. I had no black for an orphan child. I had no white for the face of the dead. I had no yellow for burning sands. I had orange for joy and life. I had green for buds and blooms. I had blue for clear, bright skies. I had pink for dreams and rest. I sat down and painted peace.
We will now take a moment for silent meditation.
but you are merciful and gracious. We are stiff-necked, but you are slow to anger. We are full of error, but you are full of mercy. Our days are like a passing shadow, but you are one whose years shall never end. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu. O God, God of our mothers and fathers, grant that our prayers may reach you. Do not be deaf to our pleas, for we are not so arrogant and stiff-necked as to say before you, our God and God of ages, we are perfect and have not sinned. Rather do we confess, we have gone astray, we have sinned, we have transgressed. Please be seated.
For the wrong we did before you, by listening to voices at odds with what we knew was right.
For the wrong we did before you, by not listening to voices telling us unpleasant truths.
For the wrong we did before you, by closing our ears to the poor and the hungry.
For the wrong we did before you, by not working at relationships.
For the wrong we did before you, by making no time for those who needed us.
For the wrong we did before you, by including our environment.
For the wrong we did before you, by unnecessary anger.
For the wrong we did before you, by talking of others' feelings behind their back, instead of face to face. For all these sins, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us, atone us. By forgiving in Jews what we condemn in others.
For the wrong we did before you, by forgiving in others what we condemn in Jews.
For the wrong we did before you, by giving into bullies.
For the wrong we did before you, by ignoring the ever-present threat of war.
For the wrong we did before you, by cutting ourselves off from people of other races and cultures.
For the wrong we did before you, by being afraid of others' disabilities.
For the wrong we did before you, by callous treatment of those with whom we live. For the wrong we did before you, by callous treatment of those with whom we work or study. For all these sins, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
Before you by bearing grudges.
For the wrong we did before you, by indulging in excessive luxuries.
For the wrong we did before you, by giving less tzedakah than we could afford.
For the wrong we did before you, by taking less for granted.
For the wrong we did before you, by manipulating others for our own gain.
For the wrong we did before you, by making those we love feel guilty.
For the wrong we did before you, by ignoring important issues in our community and country.
For the wrong we did before you, by being ashamed to act morally in public. For all these sins, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
Please be seated. Oh, sit. Please. Okay.
Please rise as the ark is opened. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu Achazerenu B'Teshuva Shelefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu Salach Umchal L'chal Ulvonatenu. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Alalenu Ve'al Olalenu V'Tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu Chole Dever V'Cherev V'Ra'av Me'elenu. Avinu Malkeinu Katanpinu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu Aseh Imanu Laman Shemacha. Avinu Malkeinu Kabel Barachamim Uvratzon Et Tefilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu Cholenu Va'enu Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim Aseh Imanu Tzedakah V'Chesed V'Hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious and answer us, for we have little merit. You give us generously and with kindness, and be our help.
House of Jacob, come, let us walk by the light of Adonai. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah. Le'amo Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'nora Shemo. Lecha Adonai Please be seated. Good morning, good afternoon. For our Torah reading, we invite for our first Aliyah the parents of any Tipti board members that have joined us this morning. first reading? Do you know where you start? Do you see where you start? Do you know where you start? One second.
אתם ניצבים היום כולכם לפני אדוני אלוהיכם, ראשיכם שבטיכם, זקניכם ושוטריכם, כל איש ישראל. טפכם, נשיכם וגרך אשר בקרב מחניך, מחוטי ביתך עד שואב מימיך, להברכה בעברית, אדוני אלוהיך ובעלתו. אשר אדוני אלוהיך קוראת עמך היום, למען הקימותך היום לא לעם, והוא יהיה לך לאלוהים כאשר דיבר לך, וכאשר נשבע לבותיך לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב. ולא אתכם לבדכם אנוכי כורת את הברית הזאת ואת הלה הזאת, כי את אשר ישנו פה עמנו עומד היום לפני אדוני אלוהינו, ואת אשר איננו פה עמנו היום.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher ba'anu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Thank you. And for our second Aliyah, we'll invite up all the juniors that are participating in our Tipti choir this high holiday. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Ki hamitzvah hazot asher Anochi metzaveha hayom lo nifleti mimha velo b'chilka hi lo b'shamayim hi lemor mi yavor lanu v'shamayma v'yikaheha lanu v'yashmi'enu ota v'nasena v'lo me'ever v'yam hi lemor mi yavor lanu lemor el ever al hayam v'yikaheha lanu v'yashmi'enu ota v'nasena ki karov eleha hadavar me'od v'fiha u'balavha lasoto. Ra'ei natati lefaneha hayom et ha'haim ve'et hatov ve'et ha'mavet ve'et hara asher Anochi mitzaveha hayom le'ahava et Adonai Elohecha Vehet Vidrahav, Veshmor, Misbotav, Vikatav, Mishatav, Vehaita, Viraita, Uveraha, Hayom,
Uberchacha Adonai Elohecha.
Ve'aretz asher ata bashama l'rishta. Ve'im yifneha Uvehart. Wait, what?
Ve'im yifnei levavecha.
Ve'im yifnei
Levavecha.
levavecha la'asoto.
V'lo tishma.
V'lo tishma.
V'nidachta.
V'nidachta. V'hisha v'hai. V'hishta. Ve'elohim ahirim avatatam. He gadeti lahem hayom ki avod tovedun lo taharihun yamim el ha'adamah et asher ata over et hayardain levo shama lirishta ha'idoti bahem hayom et ashamayim et ha'aretz et hayim hamavet natati lefaneha Abraha v'haklala uberharta v'hayim leman tehiyeha ata v'zereha le'ahavta et Adonai Eloheha lishmo b'kolo u'b'dov kavo ki hu hayita v'hayeha v'reha yameha l'shevet al hadamah Asher Anishba Enai Leha Lebraham Yitzhak Yaakov Latei Lahem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Please rise as we lift and dress the Torah. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael achi Adonai b'yad Moshe.
You stand here.
You may all be seated as we now turn to our Haftarah reading. As we hear the translation of the Torah reading.
You stand here today, all of you, before your God, the heads of your tribes, your elders and officers, your men and women, your children, even the strangers in your midst, from woodchopper to water drawer, to enter into the covenant which Adonai your God is making with you this day. You will be God's people, and Adonai will be your God, as was promised to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah. I make this agreement, and not only with you who are standing here this day, but also with all those who are not with us here this day.
This instruction I share with you on this day is not too difficult to understand, and it is not beyond your reach. It is not heaven that you would say, who of us can go up to heaven and teach us so that we can observe it? No, this teaching is very close to you, is in your mouth, and it is in your heart.
See that today I place before you life and goodness, death and hardship. I command you today to love Adonai your God, to walk in God's ways, to keep God's laws and rules so that you will succeed and grow and be blessed in your new land. But if you ignore my laws and instead serve other gods, you shall surely perish. You shall not live long in the land you are crossing the Jordan River to possess. I call heaven and earth as my witness today. I have placed before you love and death, blessing and curse. Choose love so that you and your children will live. Love Adonai your God. Follow the commandments and remain close to God. Then you will have a long life in this land that God promised to your ancestors.
We now turn to our reading of the Haftarah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divrei hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo Uv-Yisrael amo, uv-Nvi'eh ha'emet v'tzedek.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. And yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight? You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency, but no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe.
The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees Celsius, and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice. They also rely on my generation sucking hundreds of billions of tons of your CO2 out of the air with technologies that barely exist. So 50% risk is simply not acceptable to us, we who have to live with the consequences. To have a 67% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees global temperature rise, the best odds given by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the world had 420 gigatons of CO2 left to emit back on January 1st, 2018. Today, that figure is already down to less than 350 gigatons.
How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions? With today's emissions levels, that remaining CO2 budget will be entirely gone within less than 8.5 years. There will not be any more plans presented in line with these figures here today because these numbers are too uncomfortable and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us, but the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you, and if you choose to fail us, I say, we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this right here, right now, where we draw the line. The world is waking up, and change is coming, whether you like it or not.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol ha'olamim tzadik bechol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh ha'medaber u'mkayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im ve'al yom ha'kippurim hazeh Shnatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu lechavod uletifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach. Mvarchim otach, Yiparach shimcha, befi kol chai, tamid leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, mechadesh Yisrael v'yom HaKippurim.
Amen. Please rise as we return the Torah to the ark. Yahalilu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado. Let us praise the name of Adonai, whose name alone is exalted.
Please be seated. The Torah portion that you heard read this morning by our children is said to have been written by Moses himself, the great, perhaps the greatest prophet of Israel. The action in the drama takes place at Mount Sinai, where the covenant is made between God and the people Israel. If you were listening closely, you'd note that the covenant is binding on everyone, not just the powerful elite, not just the head honchos of each of the 12 tribes, but every woman, man, and child in attendance. And, by the way, an agreement is made for all the generations that are going to come after, right down to the present day. Also mentioned in the portion is that there is nothing that God is asking of us that it is impossible for us to do or understand. It should all make perfect sense. It's not written in some strange code that we're not supposed to understand. And with the guidance of the Torah, there's nothing that we cannot do in the work of protecting and preserving the world. That's all in the portion as we read it this morning. The Torah portion is traditionally followed by the Haftarah, which is a section taken from the books of the prophets, or the prophetic works. When most of you think about prophets, I'm going to guess, you probably think of predictors of the future. But that's not what Israelite prophecy was about. An Israelite prophet was the one who awakens the community to the harsh realities of the present day and our overall behavior. Essentially, there are three, here's prophecy made easy, okay? There are three roles that the prophet has, the Israelite prophet. Number one, when the people have messed up, the prophet says, you have messed up, and you're going to suffer. Number two, when the suffering begins, the prophet says, you see, I told you. That's basically it, right? And the third thing is, and this is a very important message for this holiday of Yom Kippur, God is ready and willing to take you back, to still deal kindly with you if and when you mend your ways. So there have been many kinds of prophets, prophetic types in Israelite history. Some of them are famous old friends that you probably recognize. Let's start with Abraham, for example. He brought the message of the one and only true God who was an ethical commanding force to the world. The rabbis teach us that Abraham had that great aha moment, and when he had that aha moment as a young man, he had to go and smash a shop full of idols in order to break with the past. Abraham was ridiculed at the time for doing that, and then for talking to and bargaining with an invisible God. Wasn't easy being a prophet then. Then there was Moses, who claimed no monopoly on the craft of prophecy. No, he believed every single one of us, every one of us, is equipped with the bandwidth for prophecy. It says it in the book of Deuteronomy. He says anybody can do it. But Moses himself was assailed by rebellious Israelites for thinking that he was such a big shot and lording himself over everyone else. He wound up having a major desert meltdown. It's in the book of Numbers. And Jonah, how can we forget Jonah? We read him this very afternoon, for those of you who are going to go the distance. Okay? It's a great story. Nobody reads it as well as Andy Luger, so you got to be here for that. What does Jonah do? He gets the divine tweet, and he responds by running as far away from God as possible because he didn't believe in giving people a second chance. He too is ridiculed. Jeremiah, who foretold the destruction of Jerusalem by fire, he was known as the weeping prophet. Sometimes you see pictures or statues of him, and he's always crying. He admonishes the people. What happens to him? He gets thrown into a pit. And let's not forget Noah, who receives the heavenly call to action, builds a boat, and sails away without as much as a word of advice for his fellow earthly inhabitants. No, in the 100 years it took Noah to build that ark, over 100 years, Noah was teased and maligned every step of the way for his doomsday approach. So 4,000 years later, give or take, a young girl from Sweden gets on a rather different kind of boat, traveling via sun-powered watercraft across the Atlantic. And she tells the world, basically, we are the flood, and we are the ark. We are the flood, and we are the ark. She says, I want you to act as if your house is on fire, because it is. You say you love your children above all else, yet you are stealing their future in front of their eyes. And if those words sound familiar to you, it's either because you saw Greta Thunberg addressing the United Nations, or you heard her prophetic call as the recitation of today's Haftarah just a few moments ago. In almost every instance of prophecy, the prophet is mocked, challenged, and their warnings are diminished as nonsense. And Greta, young Greta, had the added disadvantage of being a teenager and not being taken seriously by the generation that has allowed our world to be in the precarious state it is. Indeed, none of the prophets, as far as we know, were really children, but each one of them, and this is important, each one of the prophets we read about in our Bible experienced some deep, personal, real pain over what had befallen their people. And perhaps that's why today the prophet needs to be a child. Because maybe the rest of us just aren't hurting enough about a calamity that will not reach its full strength until most of us, adults, have departed this world. I have had control of a public microphone for about 31 years as a professional clergyman, and I have too rarely addressed what appears now to be the issue of our lives. Why? Because a lot of the time I thought it's going to ruffle political feathers. Well, let me tell you something. That's what the prophets were all about, the ancient ones and the modern ones, ruffling political feathers. That's why they got into trouble. So I consider myself complicit. But if I am unable to feel that kind of pain and to hurt enough in order to be prophetic, then I'm going to listen to the next generation tell me what the heck needs to be done. We may not have been so great leading out front, But our children should know, in no uncertain terms, that we have their backs. We should support them, or at the very least, we should get out of their way. This year, during the hottest July ever recorded in human history, Iceland, the country Iceland, memorialized its first ever loss of a glacier to climate change. And at the funeral for the Jökull Glacier, the Icelandic Prime Minister and the former UN Rights Commissioner dedicated a plaque at the former site of the glacier. And it bore this inscription, "A letter to the future." And it read simply, "In the next 200 years, all our glaciers are expected to follow the same path. This monument is to acknowledge that we know what is happening and what needs to be done. Only you will know if we did it." Now, I don't want you all to feel cheated out of your Haftarah portion today. I can see the squirming. Where's my Isaiah? I came here to get a little Isaiah, and that's what's written in the book. And that's what we're supposed to say, right? By all means, it's written in the book. Have at it. Read the passage if you like. It's a beautiful piece of prophecy that calls upon us to see our fast as representing truly hungry people, homeless people that lived in Isaiah's day. And he, politically incorrect, stood up and said, we got to do something about this. His prophecy is as relevant today as it was 3,000 years ago when it was penned. And we replaced it today. But if it makes you feel any better, even the Torah portion we read on Yom Kippur in Reform synagogues, right? It isn't the original Yom Kippur portion. I don't know if you're well aware of that. Originally, it's Leviticus chapter 16, and it's about an ancient atonement ritual sacrifice. Reform Judaism replaced it years ago, many years ago, with a message that we read from Deuteronomy, that the Torah is not too far from us, that doing the right thing is not impossible, that the solution to our problems is not somewhere out there in the heavens that somebody else is going to take care of. It is right in our hands. We are fully capable of doing it. That's what the portion talks about. But it's not the traditional portion. Our movement put it in. And today, in Minneapolis, we put in another Haftarah too. This year, we replaced Isaiah with a young modern prophet who's bringing the world a message that it somehow doesn't want to hear. And like the prophets, Greta has been called everything you can imagine. If you've been following in the news, journalists and climate deniers, political figures, all the way to the top, are maligning Greta and her prophecy. They're ridiculing her. They're calling her a petulant teenager. They're diagnosing her mental capacity, much in the way they badmouthed and critiqued the brave young Parkland survivors when they spoke out, finding every possible reason to reject the validity of these young persons' claims that we have let this generation down. One critic labeled Greta a propaganda tool for leftist adults pushing their agenda. Others said, don't listen to teenagers, they only repeat back what their elders have told them. Really? Are you kidding? Have any of these people ever met a 16-year-old? Does what grown-ups tell him? Nevertheless, her word spread. Millions of children worldwide took to the street in response to Greta's prophecy. And they are sounding a shofar blast quite unlike anything my generation has been able to muster. They are letting us know that their future is dependent on our present. Now, you folks know that Judaism believes in the power of children, right? Perhaps our greatest display, and it took a Catholic priest to tell me this one day, perhaps the greatest display of confidence in their youthful character and their ability to lead is that at the age of 13, we trot them out to read from the Torah and the Haftarah, and we have them make a speech to tell us how they feel about stuff. I can't think of any other tradition that does anything like that. They lead the congregation in worship, they lead us. They become part of our minyan. We not only count them, we count on them. Right here today, 500 or 600 of you are counting on our Tipti leaders and readers and choir and musicians to lead them. That's how we roll in the Jewish tradition. We use our children. We depend on them. So here we are in 5780, start of a new decade, and we're still involved in that ancient covenant. The earliest biblical covenant, you might remember, was that of a rainbow. You know what I'm talking about, right? The covenant with Noah, the rainbow. And in it was God's promise never to destroy the earth. As one modern author puts it, a rainbow can be seen a couple of ways. A rainbow can be seen as a rope. It can be thrown to a drowning person, or it can be tied into a noose. No one who isn't going to destroy earth, and no one who isn't us, is going to save it. Say that again. No one who isn't us is going to destroy earth, and no one who isn't us is going to save it. And often the most hopeless conditions can inspire the most hopeful actions. We are the flood, and we are the ark. I think Moses was right when he said that each of us has the potential to receive prophecy. I think we enact prophecy all the time. I think we enact prophecy, my friends, every time we name our children. We give them names like Gabriel, Gavriel, God is my strength. We give them names like Nathaniel, Nathanael, a gift from God. Or Ezra, helper. Or Hannah, merciful child. We even give them the names of our prophets like Yonah and Noah and Yoel. And we bestow names on our children that reveal our love of this physical planet. Names like Elan, meaning tree. Aviva, springtime. Devorah, Deborah, honeybee. Yael, mountain goat. Greta, a Swedish pet form of Margaret, which just happens to be my granddaughter's name. The Hebrew equivalent of Margaret is Margalit, Margalit, meaning pearl, as in something choice or precious, or as in pearls of wisdom. Every child's name is an investment in the future. And now these children with these prophetic names are asking us to reconsider the world we are leaving them. A beautiful midrash we often employ at those naming ceremonies tells of God speaking to the Israelite nation and asking them, folks, who is going to guarantee the future? The Israelites quickly respond, well, of course, our great ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, they will guarantee the future. And God to this says, oh, that was so yesterday. Who's going to guarantee the future? The people answer, well, of course, the great prophets of Israel that we read about in the Bible, they will guarantee the future. God says they are insufficient guarantors. Finally, the Israelites get it right, and they say, our children will be our guarantors. They will guarantee the future. Now you're talking, says God. The children are indeed fine guarantors. It is because of them that I give you the Torah. And friends, it will be because of our children that we will all merit, God willing, an inhabitable world. Shana Tov.
sounds and the words of our children in our ears, we will now pause in our day-long services for Yom Kippur. We ask that you quickly empty out of this room so that we can reset it for the conversation between Rabbi Zimmerman and the governor, which begins at 1:45, which you're, of course, welcome to come back in for. And our healing, Yizkor, and Ne'ilah service continues at 3:45. Gemar Chatima Tova.